The sooner you start, the better you get. If you're just starting out in something, a new career path, a new hobby, a new habit, a new project, you're going to suck at first. I know it's something we feel embarrassed about now, but it's going to suck. You're going to make mistakes when you start. And it'll feel awkward and weird, and you might feel like a failure. You might feel embarrassed that you're not perfect enough, or people will mock you or laugh at you or whatever, but you have to push through. You have to push through it. Like, can you imagine for a second if we as a baby had our adult mind, our mind that can be embarrassed? If we had our adult mind as a baby, when we were learning to crawl and then stand and then walk, most of us would still be crawling as adults if we had our adult mind as a baby, because most of us would have been too embarrassed to make the mistakes the baby has to make to learn how to walk. So we would just have a bunch of adults crawling around in the world because they were way too embarrassed as babies to fall down. That would be hilarious. I don't think I would be standing, honestly. I think I would be one of the crawlers. But then again, I can't stand the pain on my knees, so I think I would be rolling around, actually. Yeah, I would be rolling around. So what I'm trying to say is, you can't let the embarrassment or awkwardness or the fear of making mistakes stop you from starting and taking the baby steps you need to take. The baby crawls, the baby rolls, the baby steps you need to take to actually learn and get better at the thing you want to do. So you just have to accept that the first 3 to 6 months of whatever you're starting is going to be mentally difficult, because you're actually starting from scratch and your brain doesn't have the neural network established to make it something that's natural to you, that's a habit. So you really have to accept that it's going to be mentally hard for you until you get that neural network established and until you get those neurons firing together. You have to take the babiest of baby steps at first, so that there is the least amount of mental resistance possible. So what is mental resistance? Mental resistance is basically the urge to procrastinate. The very strong urge to procrastinate, distract yourself, not doing it now. Anything that your brain is doing to get you to not do that thing. All the excuses, all the valid excuses, like, oh, I'm so sleepy, I can't do it. Like, oh, it's nighttime, or oh, I can't do it here, or like, I have kids, or I have a job, I'm so busy, or like, I have these things to do, so I can't do this thing. Like, there's a lot of valid reasons we come up with that are actually just excuses. And mental resistance. So that is mental resistance. Anything that is making you not do that thing mentally. So you have to figure out what the best size step you can take right now is. So what's the babyest step you can take today, like right now? If you want to go to the gym if that's the goal you have in mind and you have a lot of if you have a lot of mental resistance to going to the gym, right? Because you're not athletic or whatever. If you've never gone to the gym in your life, or you've gone for 2 weeks max. If you have a lot of mental resistance to going to the gym, your first step is not going to the gym. That's not the first step. If you have a lot of mental resistance to going to the gym, you have to simplify it to the point where you no longer have the mental resistance. So think about it. Can you do 5 minutes of stretching at home? Do you have mental resistance to that? Can you actually do it today, right now, and not try to procrastinate on it? If the answer is yes, then that is your first step. You have successfully figured out the size of your first step. It's 5 minutes of stretching at home today. And then you can slowly increase the size of your step as you prove to your brain that this is not scary, this is not painful, this is not something you need to avoid doing. And you actually build up your mental muscles. You actually build the mental strength to take bigger and bigger steps. Your mental resistance to the thing you want to do will slowly decrease the more steps you take in the right direction. And the size of the steps will depend on your mental resistance. Yeah, so let's say today you do 5 minutes of stretching. Tomorrow you have to re-ask yourself, recalibrate the step, the size of the step you have to take. So let's just imagine tomorrow is today. So you did 5 minutes of stretching yesterday. Ask yourself, do I have to do 5 minutes of stretching today as well, or can I bump it up to 10 minutes? If you can, without any mental resistance, do 10 minutes of stretching. Or maybe you can actually put on some workout clothes now and do 10 minutes of stretching. So it's a very personal choice. You have to know what the ideal step size is for you for today. And ideally, you should be making slow progress in progressively increasing the size of your step until you reach the ideal habit you want to create. So if your ideal goal is to work out every other day at the gym for an hour, 45 minutes, whatever that is, you can slowly build up to that. And once you reach that, you already reached that, and you just continue with the habit. You don't have to increase the time of your workout anymore, but you can increase the difficulty of your workout. So you're still progressing, but it's no longer about the amount of time you spend, because you're already over that. You already built up the mental strength to go to the gym every other day for an hour. So as time goes on, you have to reflect on your progress as well. So however seemingly small your progress is, you have to analyze it. And if there's anything you need to improve on specifically, then you need to modify your approach a little bit. And that could be okay, first off, I didn't make a plan and I just went day to day with what I could do with the limited mental strength I have. But after a month, you have to reflect back and analyze on the progress you made, and you have to figure out if you have to modify your approach. your method. So maybe you need to make a more structured plan. Maybe you realize that you're taking it too slow and you actually now have the mental strength to take bigger steps, but you're not challenging yourself enough, and you're just doing 5 minutes of stretching every day for like 2 months. What I'm trying to say is you can't be too complacent, you can't be too passive, but also you can't be too aggressive. So you have to find the right balance between taking things slow in terms of not increasing the mental resistance to the point where you're way too tempted to procrastinate to the point where you actually give up or like skip way too many days. Like, you have to find the balance between taking the right size steps, the right amount of change that you have to do every day. So basically, you do something, you take the steps that you can take mentally, you analyze them, you experiment with your approach, you analyze that approach, you adapt the approach and the methods you take, and then you iterate on it, and you refine your approach, and basically you make the progress that needs to be made, and you successfully start walking as an adult. You successfully go from crawling to walking. So the sooner you start on the thing you really want to start, the sooner you can integrate it into your life, the sooner you can actually see it in your lifestyle. Like, the sooner it could be a part of your lifestyle. So it could be anything you want to start that you have a lot of mental resistance to. If you're already like naturally inclined to do it, then I don't think this really like applies to you. Yeah, I think this mostly applies to if you have mental resistance to the thing you want to start. So that could be learning a new language. You might be too embarrassed, you might be putting it off until you feel like doing it or whatever. You're never going to feel like doing it, honestly. I've tried. You're never going to feel like doing it. You're not going to have the motivation to do it, so you just have to start. But you have to start with the right size step that creates the least mental resistance for you, but it has to be a big enough step where you can see some progress, like any amount of progress. And that could start with learning the language for 5 minutes today. And that's why like apps like Duolingo and Rosetta Stone, those apps are helpful to start the habit of learning a new language. I don't think you can continue learning the entire language with Duolingo. I've never tried, so I'm not sure if I can learn an entire language, but it's a good baby step to start with. So the sooner you start, the less embarrassing it's going to get after a while. You just have to accept that the first 3 to 6 months are going to be mentally difficult until you train your brain to accept it as a natural part of your life. So I hope you accept as soon as possible the time it's going to take. You just have to accept it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with me and my camera awkwardness, but hey, I'm crawling. I accepted that it's going to suck at first. And this is the first time I'm actually filming face-to-face. This will be my second video that I post, I think. Yeah. But This is actually the first video I'm filming looking at the camera. So yeah, I feel awkward and embarrassed, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be embarrassing when I publish it. But I'm not gonna think about that, and I've just accepted that the first 3 to 6 months of filming in front of the camera is going to be awkward. And it might end up that I feel natural after a month. I can't know, but I just have to accept that it's going to be embarrassing and it's going to suck at first. That's all I can do. So I hope I've inspired you to take the courageous baby step, baby crawl of accepting your reality, accepting the reality of starting a new thing, and just training your brain to have the mental strength to find it natural. Okay, I've yapped too much, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week. Please take care of yourself, and please be kind to yourself as well as others. If you have any topic you would like me to talk about, please let me know. Start. It's going to be embarrassing, but just start, please. If you had the courage to walk as a baby, you have the courage to do it now, whatever that is. But start small. You can't start walking if you don't know how to walk, if it's not natural to you. You can't just get up and walk. You need to learn how to stand first. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna end the video. Bye-bye.